Okay, it's 6 o'clock and it looks like we have a quorum. So I'm going to get started. Welcome everyone to the Burlington Police Commission monthly meeting. Today is January 23rd, 2024. As I said, it looks like we have a quorum with Commissioner Garrison, Commissioner Comerford, Commissioner Cox. Is Commissioner Keefe here? I saw someone sign in as Jack. I wasn't sure.
I don't see him so far. Carolyn has arrived.
He's coming. Sorry, they're coming in.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Hanson. And is that Commissioner Keefe?
Says Jack, right? So probably.
Yeah, okay. So could I have a motion to amend the agenda to add item 6.2 Police Commission Charter Change Review Process?
So motion.
Thanks. And a second? Hey, Jack. Is there a second? Mary, thank you. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes and you've added item 6.2 Police Commission Charter Change Review Process to the agenda. Any other additions or modifications to the agenda? Could I have a motion? Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Susan, Commissioner Crawford, sorry. A second?
Yeah.
Second.
Commissioner Cox, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Motion passes and we've approved the amended agenda. The next item on the agenda is public forum. Shannon or whoever is operating for the BPD, are there any members of the public here to speak to us?
I do have Counselor Grant.
Okay, great. Counselor Grant, if you would identify yourself and tell us what's on your mind.
Hi, thank you. Mila Grant. I'm a city councilor for the Central District, which covers wards 2 and 3. It's amazing how quickly time flies. The report that I discussed last month, I just emailed you a little bit ago. It had to do with the final report around supporting new American youth and families affected by gun violence. Very, very interesting. And also, as I mentioned last time I was with you, just really dwells deeper into some concerns about lack of cultural competency that we have in the city, and then also some grave concerns about community trust. I did include the link. So there's a PDF of the report, and then there's a link to the REIB committee meeting that reviewed the report for you. I wanted to say that with Civic Clerk, there's an area for the meetings, and these have not been posted for the Police Commission. So I was just wondering if you could talk amongst yourselves and just make sure. I've been told by the city, as I've been setting all of this up, they've said that staff has been trained and should be uploading all this information now. But I have also found that that is not the case, that all staff have been trained or have been told that they should be attaching the meetings. So if you can just verify that a staff person has been given correct and current information, that would be awesome, because it allows people to go to one place in the Civic Clerk calendar to find all the information they need related to a particular meeting. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight was I was deeply concerned about some comments made by Chief Murad around the larger retailers in the South End. So at the Public Safety Committee that was held on December 21st, we were talking about the online incident reporting system that has turned out not to be the best way to have businesses report retail theft. There has been updates with regards to that, but there's still some questions about the data. The data that's related to the backlog that occurred. What's happening with that data? Has it been looked at? Is it actually included at all in our incident reports, and some other questions? I also had a concern about some statements made about large retailers that they were accumulating and reporting the retail theft incidents in large bundles, and that they weren't preventing victimization, and they only improperly made on-time reports. So my concern at the Public Safety Committee meeting was that all retailers, regardless of their size, had been told by BPD as a matter of policy at the time that submitting retail theft via online was what they should have been doing. So that has changed, and they're being advised differently. But I don't believe it's proper to criticize them for doing something that they were advised to do in the first place. You know, saying that, oh, okay, well, they shouldn't have been told only after we're saying that, hey, we shouldn't blame them for following the instructions. And so if you're not getting any responses, then you start filing bundles because you're also told, because I know myself and other city councilors told people to continue to file online until the recent change. So that was on December 21st. Then at the police commission meeting, which was the following week, when the chief was reviewing the retail thefts, and he had that new graph showing by area, he then again said that the bigger box retail stores in the South End don't care all that much. They don't try to stop it. They only use BPD as a reporting service for write-offs. And that, you know, Hannaford's at least is trying to do something by engaging the sheriff's department. So that was really deeply disappointing, because the other thing that was mentioned on the 21st is that businesses, no matter what the size, are very careful not to advise their employees to get involved if people are shoplifting. It's a huge liability issue. Many businesses of all sizes have reported employees being hurt, even if they're not trying to interfere. So we have to be very careful what we say about our businesses, because we want to be supporting them all. We cannot assume, you know, our landscape has changed for shopping. So many people buy online. We cannot assume that big box stores are, you know, the so-called brick and mortar are swimming in money that they can take these hits. I was in a legislative meeting, and there was a gentleman who manages a group of Hannaford stores, including the one in the New North End, and he is not at all happy about the amount of money that they are spending to have the sheriff's department there. It is a huge expense that they would rather be investing back in their employees. And the last thing I'll say about the box stores, I was upset that they were perceived as not caring. Their loss prevention officers came to Burlington. They came to the mayor's, one of the mayor's coffees late last spring, early summer. They wanted to know what was going on. They said that theft in Burlington was #1 in the country. The TJ Maxx, Home Goods, and Sierra Clothing, they're all under the same corporate umbrella, but they each have their own loss prevention officer. They came here because they were seeing the same thing that other retailers were. You know, their bathrooms, they had to think about, can we make them public anymore? Because people are going in and using and leaving needles and overdosing. They had those same concerns They were losing employees because they didn't want to deal with that. We have to be very careful what we say about our businesses and about anyone when they were following the instructions that were given to them. We can't make these assumptions. We can do better. We have to, when I say there's negative community engagement and that we're not doing the best to improve that, this is a prime example of what I am talking about. And the last thing I'll say is that there wasn't a chief's report posted this week. I would assume it would be the year-end review. It repeatedly, these documents aren't being posted. Its report was not posted for last month's. When we send people to the links, this is the information that they need to see, and it's not occurring. I would love to see something that wasn't included on the preliminary year-end was what are the number of incidents that CSOs and CSLs participated in. That data is going to be really important. I thank you very much for listening. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions about what I mentioned, please feel free to email me.
Thank you, Counselor Grant, and thank you for letting us know about the civic clerk omissions, and we will look into that and appreciate your comments. Next is the chief's report, and I don't think that we did receive this in advance. If we did, I missed it. But Chief, I believe you're here.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it was emailed to everybody as part of it is the year-end, the preliminary year-end report. So it was emailed to everybody in a press release back at the beginning of the year. And it is posted on the BPD website, which is where that press release link goes to. We distributed it again via Front Porch Forum to every single Front Porch Forum in the city. And so it's out there in that format.
Okay,
and
thank you. I just didn't know if it was a different one for tonight, but I appreciate that. And
No,
we did
and with
receive
your
it.
permission, I'll start to share it now.
Great, thank you.
Am I going to share it from my screen, Shannon? Is that the plan?
If you wouldn't mind, Chief.
Not at all. Just one moment then. Sorry. Okay, so share screen. And go. So this is a very long document. It's almost 40 or almost 50 pages, 40, 50 pages. I can't recall which. So I'll move through it quickly. It covers the year 2023. And it shows, our staffing. These are our documents that we've seen before. We ended the year with 69 officers. That is what I predicted on January 1st when I sent out an internal memo and a sort of a prediction for the department. I'm proud that we made that. It required extraordinary effort on the part of our recruiting team. We brought in 15 new police officers in 2023. That's more than in any calendar year in the past 2 decades. It's actually more than 2 decades. And that was just a real an amount of work. It was balanced, of course, by departures, both tenure retirements and also resignations. But we ended the year, we began it at basically 61 and ended at 69. Here's how those 69 are currently divided. And this shows patrol with 21. This shows marketplace officers, which were in effect on December 29th, but are no longer, December 31st, but aren't anymore. The marketplace detail has been rolled back into regular patrol. What this also doesn't say is that we lost an officer in the early part of January to resignation. So we're actually technically at 68, but this is a snapshot as of the beginning of 2024. We will gain another officer next week. At the very beginning of next week, our one officer who will be attending the Vermont Police Academy for the February class. That is obviously not what we had wanted. We did not want to have only one attendee in that class. Although, as it is turning out, our field training officers are incredibly overtaxed. Having gone through we had a class that came out in July or June rather, and that was a 4-person class. We then got 2 laterals in September, and then we had 6 officers graduate the police academy in early December. Our field trainers are absolutely wiped. They have been field training nonstop for 14+ weeks. It is not tenable for them. And in some ways, having only one person in the next coming academy class is going to be a necessary pause for our field training program. When you only have 4 officers on a shift, and that is what we currently have, 4 officers on one side of the day shift, 4 officers on one side of the evening shift, 2 officers on the midnight shift, that is non-supervisory officers. We are basically asking all of them to be field trainers, and not all of them are certified, not all of them want to be, not all of them have enough tenure to be. And so the handful that are sufficiently tenured, that do have the requisite training and that are willing to do it, is a small handful, and we're wiping them out. This shows that, inside that unavailable of 13 includes injured persons on light duty, a military an officer who's out on military, and those field training officers. That is the officers who are on field training, not the ones who are the field trainers. This talks about where we are. We are actually now, as of this point in January, we have our full complement of 6 CSLs. As of the first of the year, we had 5. We now have a full complement of 6. And so we are fully staffed on the CSL team. We have promoted Lacey Smith to the Assistant Director of CAPE. And so we now have an opening in our community support supervisor position, but our CSL positions are fully staffed at 6, and that is great. This shows that new organization that we talked a little bit about. As of the production of this document, we hadn't named that position, but it is Lacey Smith, and I'm very, very happy about that movement. We had a number of people participate in the hiring panels, and she did an excellent job in that. The CAPE team, and something that no other department in the state of Vermont and very few in the region or in the nation have, is an in-house team like this. This is our new org chart, and you've seen versions of this, but and I encourage anybody that's watching to go to the website and click on the preliminary year-end report and look at this at length that they're on their own. The numbers that are in parentheses are the authorized numbers for each position. We certainly do not have 48 patrol officers, but if we were fully staffed at 87 sworn, this is how those positions would be divided and where they would be. 7 at the airport plus a sergeant, 7 patrol sergeants. We currently have, I believe, 4. And 4 area lieutenants. We currently have 3. So we are trying hard to get to these numbers. The changing proportions, something that we have seen before. It shows now the 2019 authorized total does not include parking. I removed parking because parking isn't part of the department anymore. It was moved to DPW. Had that been included, then the total BPD staffing would have been 150 at that point. But I didn't. And yet, even with them removed, what this shows is a significant change between the proportion of sworn to professional staff in the agency. This shows what we actually have on the ground in those positions. So the actual count in May of 2019 and the actual count as of January 2024. And I believe that it's sort of a visual representation of just, you can see huge deficits in the supervisory ranks of sworn officers, huge deficits in the non-supervisory ranks. And we are working hard to build our professional ranks up, but we already have more professional staff on the ground than we did in May of 2019. Incident volume, and that's a picture of Champ just before Champ was burned on New Year's Eve. The incidents were up in 2023, higher than they've been in 5 years. So we'd have to go back to 2019 to see a higher year, and it wasn't very much higher, just barely. I was just told today by a sergeant, I hadn't run the numbers myself, that we are 300 incidents ahead of where we were last year at this point already in 2024. So 2024 shows no sign of abating. The artificial low of the pandemic years has been utterly erased, and that artificial low was partly used to justify the decision to reduce the police department. We're definitely outside that now. Of our incidents, we stacked about 14%, and we took another 13% via online reporting. And again, this reiterates that incidents are not crimes, but they are how we count our what we're doing. This is the priority response plan. This is the version that was released in May of 2022. The version in May of 2021, when we first released it, did not have the color-coded designations next to the call categories. So in other words, there wouldn't have been a yellow CSO or an orange online. But this is exactly how we released it in May of 2021. You'll note that larcenies and retail thefts have never been online reports. They weren't supposed to be online reports. They certainly were mistakenly diverted to online reporting, but not as an official stance of the department. This is the exact same report that we put out in May of 2021, 2022. And it can be found in almost every single report since then. This is a way to visualize how it works, because I know that has been a source of some concern and question. You start out a shift with 6, and by the way, we don't have that. We have 4 on our shifts now, so I really should rewrite this. But we had a very brief fat period where we had 6 on a shift, and we were feeling like we were getting somewhere. And that has been undone by some unanticipated resignations and other staffing changes. We are, if we look at 6, however, and we'll take a best case scenario and say you've got 6, officers 1 and 4 are responding to priority 3 calls for service, because we will respond to priority 3, that's all these white ones, until we can't. So for the first part of the shift, every call gets responded to in the order it comes in. Officer 1 goes off to a retail theft. Officer 4 goes off to a stolen vehicle. That leaves officers 2 and 3 and officers 5 and 6. Officers 2 and 3 are assigned to a domestic assault. We never send fewer than 2 officers to a domestic assault, and we send supervisors to those as well. So they are gone. That leaves us with officers 5 and 6. Now, if a larceny from a building comes in, officers 5 and 6 are not going to that call. If a burglary in the past comes in, officers 5 and 6 are not going to that call. They are waiting for a call that involves life safety, or for other officers to finish with their current assignments and come back so that we are once again above 2. But if we remain at 2, the only call they will respond to is something like a robbery, which is a priority 1. These are selected Valcor incidents for the year, and we can see where they move. We had some tales of success around assaults, for example, around gunfire, and we had places where, and mental health issues are down, and we had places where we've seen continuing increases, including overdose, horrifically, and aggregated larceny. This picture shows the comparison year to year, just 2022 versus 2023. And again, if we were only looking at that, we'd see basically almost as many categories that we regularly track are down as are up. And some of those are good. 38% reduction in gunfire, a 10% reduction in stolen vehicle, an 8% reduction in felony assault. Those are positive markers, but they don't tell the full story. This shows 2023 versus the 5-year average of 2018 through 2022. And I feel that it's a fair comparison, although it too is a little bit flawed in that it's got the artificial lull of 2020, 2021, and to a certain extent, 2022 inside it. Nevertheless, here you see a different picture, and the down is smaller and the up is greater. Even with the huge number, even though we had 16 gunfire incidents this year, for example, it was still 33% over the average. Now it's far down from last year's horrific total of 26, but it is higher than the overall average. Stolen vehicle up 144%, overdose up just an unconscionable 252% over the 5-year average. Really, really terrible numbers, and indicative of the challenges we're seeing in the drug market. This is the part where I'll skip through because, frankly, we can move on to the rest of the chief's to discussion. But major events, we solved the Rita Curran case in February. There was an airport bomb threat that we responded to. We did some, I thought, really innovative, fair and impartial policing training with a group called the Center for Policing Equity, who came in and conducted that training with us based on a concept that I came up with and helped design. And then they furthered it along with Director Kim Carson at REIB. She provided tremendous assistance on this and worked very closely with the 2 trainers from CPE. We had an award ceremony that was really wonderful. The marathon went swimmingly as it thankfully does. 3rd of July, great day, large number of officers there. That's about as many officers as you can possibly see at this stage in the department, because everybody was there, an all hands on deck effort. Exciting sign of growth in that we swore in. We had a large, robust swearing in and promotion ceremony in August. We will be holding another in very early February, and I'll be sending out an invite to all of you about that ASAP. The Pride March in September, we had some terrific representation. You can see our PIO, Sarah Tim, and the victim's advocate, Hannah Brislin, in the photo there, sort of in the middle. You can see Officer Kelsey Johnson. We presented at IACP in San Diego, which is a pretty big deal for an agency. There are literally hundreds of presentations, and they are selected pretty discriminately from, with a lot of discrimination in those topics by the IACP board. And we got to present on what we were doing with CAPE. And you can see there Lacey Smith and Anna Wagling, who also came to present with us. A terrible night in November with regard to just incredible busyness, gunfire incident, a double murder, another shooting, an arson in our headquarters, a night that really did not seem like it was going to let up. And then, of course, the street lighting ceremony on Church Street, the holiday tree, great night. And then, unfortunately, this terrible way to end the year, a hateful act around the shooting of those 3 young men of Palestinian descent. We closed that case in less than 24 hours and had the shooter apprehended. We are working to rebuild. As I pointed out, we've hired 15 officers in 2023. That's the most in more than 2 decades. That's a large part of the work of Anhat Bajwa, who you see there on the left hand of the image, and also Carolyn Irwin, Corporal Carolyn Irwin, who is the recruiting officer, Anhat Bajwa, who is the recruitment coordinator, which is a professional position. We also use other officers. You'll see 2 officers down in the lower photo. Corey Orfont is in uniform, and behind him is Zach Beal, who's one of our detectives. We're doing everything we can to make recruitment happen, and we did a darn good job of it in 2023. 2024 is starting out a little slower, but as I said, that pause is sadly necessary. These are the data tables for recruitment and retention, and you can see some of the success we've had, but we'll see some changes. I mean, even this shows 4 lateral hires and says that as of the 1st of January, of the 4 hired, how many are still with us? And it was all 4. That's no longer the case. One of those laterals did depart and was a resignation. Our rebuilding goals, ambitious but achievable. Although every time we lose a person that we did not anticipate, they become a little bit more difficult to achieve. The basic strategy for this is we have to keep the personnel we have. We have to. And they are starting to get burned out, and they are starting to feel the sort of doldrums of winter and the results of, I mean, even yesterday, we had a 5-hour hostage standoff situation that was incredibly taxing to the people involved. And addressing something like that is on the one hand, that is why a lot of these men and women became police officers, to deal with scenes like that and to put to the test their expertise and their character. But it is also exhausting. We have made, as I said, growth, important growth. The police academy graduation in June, and then the police academy graduation in December. And we are offering some of the most competitive compensations in the entire region. And we have some of the best things to speak for us as an agency in the region, including some of the best shift structures. People talk about this shift structure as a really sort of a unicorn. Most agencies want it. A lot of agencies won't do it. It's a shift structure that has a certain amount of overlap. That overlap, if used properly, allows for a lot of robust training and development. And that is certainly what this agency has used it for over the past 2 decades. But it is now a key component in our value proposition to prospective employees, and certainly to the employees that we still have who are with us. And that is it.
Thank you, Chief Murad. Are there any questions about the report from commissioners?
So this is Mary Cox. I don't see how to put my hand up for a second, but could I ask a question?
Yeah, please. I see your hand, but I don't.
Okay.
Can we unshare the
Absolutely.
screen so we can see ourselves again? Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
So I was wondering, does the pressure that we're having on training officers include the training officers for the ERU? And I was also wondering if you could give us an update as to the BTV CARES team.
Sure, thanks. So the ERU, those training, those are different. We don't have, for example, training officers for ERU. We have a team that train each other in different kinds of things. And so different members of the ERU become experts in different things. There's certainly officers, there are supervisors who are leaders of the ERU. There are officers who are a little bit more senior on the ERU and perhaps have been to trainings about more specific kinds of things, but there's no one training officer for the ERU. They cross-train together and work as a team. And that does, that can make staffing a regular shift challenging at times. If you have a certain number of officers who are assigned to a shift and they're all participating in ERU, it can be challenging to have the shift fully staffed. If we did not have that kind of training and that team, we would lose more officers than we even hold by, than we would hold by having better staffed shifts. In other words, at the expense of putting 1 or 2 more people on a shift, a given shift, and saying it's a little bit better staffed today, is that the thing that many of these officers enjoy the most and find the most fulfilling, which is training or membership on that team, wouldn't be possible. So we make these kinds of decisions a lot. What are we going to, how much do we sacrifice here in order to have something here that is of an attraction for the officers? Regarding the CARES team, we have had ongoing conversations with the Department of Mental Health and ongoing conversations with the University of Vermont Medical Center. Assistant Director Cape Smith is going to be working on that. We have a clinician, a clinical supervisor who is in the hiring process right now. That's some good movement. We're still working, however, with the hospital on the legalese of getting registered nurses assigned to Burlington in order to be a member of this team.
Thank you, Chief Murad. Are there any other questions for the chief at this about the yearly report or anything else? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is commendations. Commendations are generally based on a specific conduct of an officer or officers. There was an email in our packet, but it doesn't amount to an accommodation. Are there any other commendations? No. The next item.
So
Go ahead.
sorry, just could I just say something positive
Sure.
about it was in an email that was sent just shortly before our meeting regarding the arrest of somebody who was I guess dealing cocaine And but it was like it's being processed through the federal courts rather than the state courts. So I'm hoping we get like a better result regarding if there's an eventual conviction, then regarding sentencing and so forth, than we sometimes get in state courts. But I wanted to commend the police department, I guess, that was like very involved in that. And maybe Chief Mira could speak a little bit to their efforts, but I just wanted to make sure that the public knew about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Chief Mira, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you so much, Commissioner Cox. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, we did send out a press release about the operation just because it had occasioned, it had been noticed in that part of town that we were doing that operation a few days ago. I think it was very appreciated by that part of town. They've been having challenges that are, I believe, repercussions from this particular group. And the arrest, I think, is an important arrest. I'm hopeful too that we will be able to really have a vigorous prosecution that leads to a decent jail sentence for this individual. But more importantly, that particular operation remains shut down and that part of the city can breathe a little easier. And then it's on to the next one because there are a lot.
Thank you, Chief Murad. The next item on our agenda is commission business. Are there any commissioner updates or comments at this time? Seeing none, I'll go to the next agenda item, which is 6.2, Police Commission Charter Change Review Process. And on behalf of Commissioner Rao, there's a proposal that you all received, and I'm going to read it now. This is the proposal for the process for further review of the Police Commission charter change. First, all commissioners will submit their comments on the Joint Committee's proposal to Commissioner Rao and the co-chair Rao and Cox by Friday, February 9th. Commissioners Rao and Cox will prepare one document with all commissioners' proposed changes and send out to the commission with the commission packet for discussion at the February 27th Police Commission meeting. At the February 27th Police Commission meeting, we will discuss areas of agreement and areas of disagreement to narrow our differences. After the February 27th meeting, we'll send our working document to the chief, the BPOA, the Joint Committee, MPAs, and other interested groups and ask them to bring their feedback to our March 26th Police Commission meeting. At our March 26th Police Commission meeting, we'll hold a special public hearing to receive feedback from all interested parties. At our April 23rd Police Commission meeting, commissioners will present any proposals for further charter amendments and will vote on each as necessary. If necessary, the process will continue at our May 28th meeting. The goal is to share with the Joint Committee after our May 28th meeting. Are there any comments or discussion of this proposal? Great.
I'm trying to figure out how to unmute myself. For some reason, the thinks I'm driving. This is Carolyn.
Okay.
I just had a comment or a question about that because I see that under the schedule we submit our comments and then we're going to have a discussion. And I didn't know if it would be possible for us to have some discussion before we submitted all of our individual comments, just to kind of understand what people understand to be the proposal and just some general, I don't know, just an opportunity for general discussion. And I also wanted to mention, at least for me, I noticed that 2 of the dates are meetings that I will not be able to attend because the February meeting is during school vacation week and I am going to be out of the country. And then also the April one is a school vacation week. So I just wanted to mention that to all of you now. I'm not really sure. I know the February one, it will be really impossible for me to participate in. It's possible that the April one, I will be able to participate, even though I'm going to be traveling with my family, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. Are there any other comments or responses to that?
So this is Mary Cox, so Commissioner Rao and myself are always open to like a side discussion with an individual commissioner. What we have to be careful of is to avoid any complicating of the open meeting laws. And so if you have a particular question or a particular comment that you'd like to share with Commissioner Rao and I, then you're welcome to share that and we will respond. But it shouldn't be sent to all, for example, because then that would be in violation of the open meeting laws as I understand them. Is that correct, Commissioner Oskey?
Yes, that is correct. You can't have a quorum of the board, the commission communicating outside of a publicly warned meeting.
Right. But so if you have any questions or comments or feelings, or you're not going to be able to make it to a meeting, we'd be happy to express things on your behalf. We're totally open to working with you. So, okay.
Any other comments on the proposal? Can I have a motion to approve the charter change review process as just outlined? And for the minutes, I'll submit this in writing so that whoever is it, I don't know if it's Shannon's going to do the minutes, but we'll figure it out. Could I have a motion to approve the charter change review process as just outlined?
I so move.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cox and Commissioner Comerford. That's a second. Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes and you've approved the Police Commission Charter Change Review process. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. These are approval of 2 minutes, the minutes from the December 20th meeting and the minutes from the December 26th meeting. Could I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda and take the actions noted?
Excuse me. I did have to correct the minutes for the 20th. It said I was not in attendance. I was in fact participating in that meeting.
Right. I'll make a note of that for the record.
Thank you.
That's the 20th.
Correct.
Okay. With that change to the minutes on December 20th, could I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda and take the actions noted with the amendment of adding Commissioner Keith to the December 20th meeting? Thank you, Commissioner Garrison. A second. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Keith. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? I assume, yeah, Commissioner Hanson is abstained. She wasn't attending. She didn't attend she wasn't on the commission yet on December 20th. So that's the end of our regularly scheduled meeting. We do have an executive session. May I have a motion for a special finding that premature general public knowledge of the commission's hearing of grievances and complaints would clearly place the state, municipality, other public body, or persons involved at a substantial disadvantage?
Commissioner Oskey, I'm sorry. This is Carolyn again, and I can't figure out how to raise my hand. Just before we do that, I don't want to make you repeat all of that. I just had sort of a comment and a question about minutes. I'm just wondering if it would make sense for someone to respond. I noticed there was a 7 Days article that talked about how we had not posted any minutes to the site, and that was required by state law. And also I'm mindful of the comments that Commissioner Grant raised. And I think that it would be helpful for the general public to know that we don't have anyone to do minutes right now. I know that came up in the meeting, the special meeting that the Charter Change Committee was holding. They were surprised to learn. It wasn't until Commissioner Cox explained to them that we've had no administrative help whatsoever. This all, of course, predates me being on the commission, but I was interested in the fact that the committee didn't seem to know that we didn't have anybody to do minutes or provide any administrative support. And at that meeting, the representative from the mayor's office who was there said, "Oh my gosh, we didn't know that you didn't have any support either. And the mayor's office will make sure that some support is provided to the commission." But I think it's important for the public to know that, and to know that it's not just that the commission is, neglecting or not interested in providing those minutes as quickly as possible. But it's just that normally there would be a staff person that assists all the commissions with doing that sort of thing, and there isn't anybody for us right now. So I just wanted to raise that.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Hanson. We have had a staff person regularly until December. We lost that staff person. So there's been a pause in our staffing. Commissioner Cox, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just going to say that we have had excellent help from Shannon Trammell, but she has like a complete full-time job other than this. And so it seems like kind of a burden to be placed on her, and she's been excellent in helping us like muddle through this, but it would be super helpful to have a more regular staff person as we had previously last year. So thank you.
And it's my understanding that there is somebody from the clerk's office that is in line, but I don't know. I will be responsible for putting out the minutes from this meeting, not in city format, but I have the minutes, and I will share them with Commissioners Cox and Rao, and we'll work to get them posted, as well as the previous minutes that we have. And I'm not sure why they're not on civic clerk, but as I said to Counselor Grant, we will look into it and make sure that it gets posted.
Thank you. 2 quick points. One, I think there are minutes from the 26th, December 26th meeting that were posted, and although I was not in attendance, I would recuse, but we could adopt those. There was also the use of force report for December, I believe was on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. I skipped over that. Thank you for reminding me. And yes, we did just approve both. They were both on the consent agenda, the minutes from December 20th and the minutes from December 26th.
And then just to be formal, I recused myself at the 26th. I was not in attendance.
Okay. So sorry, thank you for letting me know. We skipped over the use of force reports. That was item number 5 on the agenda. And the purpose of this agenda item is for counselors to identify any use of force reports, incidents that they would like to request further information on. You all received the use of force reports for December. So now is the time for us to discuss those.
Well, actually, I would like to make a request for videos, if I may. Request videos for incidents 3, 5, and 23 as they pertain to DD 13.3, interacting with persons with diminished capacities. Justification is to contribute to the Commission's understanding of how these departmental directives are working in the field. In addition to which, would like to request video for incident number 4 as it relates to DD05, state uniform use of force policy, particularly as it pertains to the use of OC spray. And again, for the purpose of contributing to the Commission's understanding of how the departmental directive is working in the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keefe. And we have a temporary policy that you are relying on to request the incidents as they pertain to departmental policy, but the department and the BPOA have not agreed to that yet, and we're meeting with them tomorrow to review that. So your requests are going to be on the record now, and we're going to have to wait, I believe, till the outcome of this meeting
I
to
would
know
like
whether-
clarification on that, if I may. I do recall several, this was discussed on at least more than one occasion in public meeting, where it was clear that while the initial request that all videos be released without citing specific justification was put on hold pending resolution, that the commission has and will continue to have unfettered access to any videos related to citizens' complaints and where we proffer cause, as I've just done. So I do not believe that's a correct interpretation that this is put on hold. We are allowed to request for if we give a specific justification. A blanket request for all videos is not allowed.
Okay, well, your requests are in the record, and we'll see what Attorney Pellerin says about that if we get the videos. Commissioner Cox?
So that's my understanding, is that we would let Attorney Pellerin know like what we wanted in the justification, as Commissioner Keefe just stated. And I also would like to see those same ones. And I think all the commissioners that have finished the requisite training and background check necessary to see the videos should see those. And so definitely on board with this. But I think the process right now is just, there's somebody that needs to be the gatekeeper to say, yes, this is sufficient justification. And I think what Commissioner Keefe has stated sounds to me like just like sufficient justification. And so hopefully that should go smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioners that request more information on any of the December use of force incidents? So just so I'm clear, Commissioner Keefe, for the record, you've requested videos for incidents 3, 5, and 23 as they pertain to DD 23 regarding persons with diminished capacity. And you request video for incident number 5 as it pertains to the state use of force policy and the use of OC spray.
Yes, I'm sorry. It was the last was number 4 as it pertains
Oh.
to the use of force.
Incident
So-
number 4, not
Yes.
number 5. Okay.
So yes, so if helpful, I would just say number 3, 5, and 23
Mhm.
as pertains to DD 13.3, and incident number 4 as it pertains to DD 05.
Okay.
Sorry,
Great.
there's a lot of
Thank
acronyms in there. Thank you.
Okay, great. Are there any other commissioners that would like to request further information about any of the use of force? No, great. Okay, thank you. Sorry that I skipped over that. So now we are at the end of the meeting, and we are going to get a motion for executive session, and we will not be returning to the public meeting after we go into executive session. So may I have a motion for a special finding that premature general public knowledge of the commission's hearing of grievances and complaints would clearly place the state, municipality, other public body, or person involved at a substantial disadvantage? Thank you, Commissioner Comerford. May I have a second? Commissioner Garrison, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous, the motion carries. May I have a motion that the commission enter executive session based upon the special finding pursuant to 1 VSA 313A1? Thank you, Commissioner Garrison, and may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Keefe. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That unanimous motion carries. So again, the commission is going to move into executive session, and I think you all have the link, and we will not be back in public session. At the conclusion of the executive session, we will adjourn. I'll see you at the other channel.